What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Watch Darius TV. I'm back with another review, and this one is of City on a Hill, Season 3, Episode 3, Speak When You're Angry. And you already know, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Let's start with the review. Now, this episode was a really good one. Like I said about a lot of episodes of different TV shows, but this was a really nice one. The episode starts with DeCourcy. He's coming back to work after his father's death. And Blair Chavez says that their boss, Guy Dan, wants to speak. All right. Sinclair wants to send Victoria away, basically, sort of, overseas. And she says that she would go to the cops about Dominique. She's obviously suspecting her dad of, hurting and most likely killing Dominique, basically. And then Jackie says a quote, basically, that's the name of the episode. This is a quote about speak when you're angry, because she storms off and, curses her dad out, like most of those kids would do, if you know what I'm talking about. Jenny tells Benedetta, or I can't even pronounce her. I'm just gonna say Detta, because some of these names on this show, I don't know what it is. It's hard for me to pronounce it. I don't get it. But she slams the door. No, I want to talk about slams the door. Okay, wait. Jenny tells Detta that basically she slapped her dad, her grandfather, but Detta basically comforts her about it and stuff like that, and it sort of makes her feel good, even though basically, we find out the consequences of what happens for when she did assault her dad, but basically her daughter sort of comforts her about doing it. Guy Dan gives some cases to DeCourcy and Blair to help his campaign. DeCourcy wants the Curtis Whitfield case. Blair gets basically a case about a thief that stole $10,000 worth of lobster. Uh, he wants them to deliver guilty verdicts. Guy Dan says. Guy Dan doesn't like DeCourcy also having a gun in his case. We saw earlier in this episode in the beginning that Blair Chavez saw that he had a gun in his case, so most likely she ended up telling on him, and his boss doesn't like it, but he keeps it in there to protect his wife. Even after the whole events happened with his wife getting attacked last season, he still wants to, protect them. I think that he's going to probably use his gun before the end of the season. I forgot what the name of it. So what's that term that they use for when an object appears in a story that's going to be used later? A Chekhov's gun or something like that, I think it's called. So I think somehow he's going to probably use it before the end of this season. Victoria tells Jackie she knows. There's a scene where Jackie and Victoria, they're driving. They're being driven someplace, and Victoria basically tells Jackie that she knows that he's right about her dad. She knows that my dad is not a bad guy, and she knows it. And so for the last few episodes, Jackie's been really sort of getting more of an idea that the guy that he's working for probably most likely is not a good dude. And he's hating to admit it because he's coming with a nice car and money, and he gets to sleep with this guy's wife. So it's too much going on. It's good. But of course, this guy is also a serial rapist, so he needs to be taken care of. Hold on one second, guys. So Saban has a storyline in this episode that sort of goes outside of the Big Dig construction working accident stuff going on. She finds out an old friend Lulu has died in a car accident. She puts her as her next of kin after they basically grew apart from when they were younger. Let me see. I love the scene where Jackie and forget about the noise going on in the background. That's yeah. Anyway, I love the scene where Jackie and I cannot pronounce her name either, so I'm going to say Latia, whatever her name is, Letta. They have sort of like a short back and forth and stuff like that before they end up making out. I forgot where the scene takes place in earlier in this episode. I love that sort of back and forth that they had. I don't exactly remember what they were saying, but the dialogue was super sharp in that scene. Right before they ended up making out and stuff like that. And then she just simply tells him, okay, hurry back. And that's about it. It's almost like she's sort of trying to look at him as her new husband in a way. Tell him to hurry back, basically, like he's her husband going off to work. So she's definitely one of the strangest new characters of this season, I would say, besides Sinclair. They got a weird relationship going on, but I guess they got an open marriage. Her and Sinclair, it's really odd though. Jenny asks Jackie about basically the Drayden. She wants to know about these people that her husband is working with. And Jackie becomes very defensive. I think it's because of guilt, because basically he's getting tempted to cheat on his wife again. and is most likely starts to get really defensive and agitated, basically throughout this episode because I think it's guilt basically because he knows that he's about to cheat on his wife again. So Jackie talks with Curtis, and Curtis claims that the cops are. Wait, Jackie talks with Curtis. Curtis claims the cops are dirty and want the Corsi to look into it. Wait, hold on 1 second. Oh, okay, sorry about that. I had to do a little bit of research on this episode. Okay, so DeCourcy talks with Curtis basically about this whole investigation that's going on. And Curtis claims that the cops are dirty and wants DeCourcy to look into it. This is a case, I believe, where a man named Curtis Whitfield, I can't pronounce his name, basically, Curtis basically killed another man, and I believe the cops had something to do with it. I think that's what they were saying. I was trying to follow it. Maybe I didn't really hear him very well, but Saban is stressed about funeral arrangements while talking to Eloise. She's stressed out because she really doesn't know what her friend would have wanted to do. Would she would have wanted to be cremated or buried or something like that. So she's really stressed out about what's going on. Jackie isn't interested in basically when you have a scene where Jackie and Jenny they end up taking their daughter to college and stuff like that. She gets her dorm room, and Jackie is completely uninterested in what's going on. He's not interested in I can't pronounce this other character's name, Faust. Or I don't know how to pronounce his name. She's not interested in him or his family and stuff like that. He most likely knows that this is going to be her boyfriend, or maybe she does. He does know that that's his daughter's boyfriend, but he's totally not interested in knowing about them. So he's like, I'm going to go feed the meter. See you. So that's how that is. DeCourcy acts as Chris to look into some dirty cops while basically his nosy wife listens in. She's trying to figure out what's going on because she's just all up in her husband's business. Chris says that he can't have a career busting dirty cops, which is rightfully so because he's already dealing with a dirty cop already in his precinct now. So doing all this stuff could possibly lead to him getting killed or who knows what could happen. He doesn't want to really have any more enemies looking too deeply into this stuff. So that's rightfully so. So DeCourcy ends up saying like, "Yo, I got to figure out how I'm going to basically figure out what I'm going to do with this Curtis case." Jackie talks about his bad. He has a whole scene where he basically talks about how his bad parents were and stuff like that. And how he basically left the house and stuff like that when he's talking to his daughter. And he's talking about how basically his dad was off somewhere, his mom was drunk, passed out someplace. It was a very strange goodbye speech to his daughter, but it wouldn't be Jackie work if he didn't do that. He just gives a really dark, morbid speech about his, upbringing, and his daughter's like, "Oh, Dad, I love you," and it's just like, I would love to see it just a spin off of just Jackie, and his family, just how they interact with him and stuff like that. Because I think he's the most funnest character in this show, the most charismatic, the funniest one-liners. I love the character Jackie Work. He a lot of times represents the unpolitically correct world of the 90s, how no cancel culture, he just says whatever he wants, and the character is just hilarious. I love Jackie, one of my favorite characters on this show. Faust, basically he has a scene also where after they leave the college and stuff like that, Jackie's outside and he's standing next to Faust or wherever his name is, I can't pronounce it, and somebody comes up and basically offers him from the school. I guess they're for safe sex or whatever like that at the college, because that's how it was at my school, where somebody goes around a college offering condoms, to promote safe sex and stuff like that. And he's kind of awkward because he doesn't know if he wants to take it or not because he's standing next to his standing next to his girlfriend's dad, so it's kind of awkward and he doesn't know if he should take it or not. And he tries to explain himself, but Jackie's like, just shut up, just because he clearly doesn't want to think about this dude, doing anything with his daughter and stuff like that. So with funny scene though. Reverend Isaiah Hughes he makes a return, and DeCourcy tells him that he is taking on the Whitaker case, Curtis Whitaker case. He thinks he's being wrongfully charged. Of course, he thinks he's being wrongfully charged by these cops, these crooked cops. And Hughes says that Andrews is a bad guy for Curtis killing him. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry about that again. I know a lot of pauses in this episode, but he tells him that basically he's taking on the Witter case and stuff like that. He thinks that basically case Curtis was wrongfully charged and stuff like that. believes it has something to do with the crooked cops and stuff like that. They've been having a lot of bad interactions and stuff like that. And Hugh says that Andrew was a bad guy for Curtis killing him. So basically, of course, he's trying to get more evidence to deal with these crooked cops and sort of help Curtis Whitaker in this case. So that's what he's doing on in this season, in this episode. Chris gets info on bad cops and he gives it to Corsi, but no one's willing to testify, so he can't do anything with his information. But Chris does help DeCourcy, so that's good. He still wants to stick his neck out to basically get rid of some crooked cops, so that's good to see that from Chris and DeCourcy. They want to get rid of these bad cops. Saban finds mail from Lulu and reads this letter, and tension builds. We don't know what it is, though. We find out later on in this episode. I'll get right to that. Jackie finds out Jenny has an assault charge for hitting her dad. He's completely furious. He wants to know why he even came over in the first place. Jenny says that basically it was Father Doyle's idea who brought him over. He completely storms off. It does feel like he used that as an excuse to leave the house, basically, I think, just to take his anger out on Doyle and maybe even hook up with Latia. But basically, he's completely furious about what's going on. He's been totally on edge. Jackie tells Doyle to basically stay away from Jenny again, and basically threatens to completely destroy his spine. So that's pretty scary. Jackie, his threat was pretty cool though about the whole Final Destination and stuff like that. And I forgot exactly what he said, but that whole Final Destination line, that was a bar. That was really dope. Like I said, Jackie has some of the best dialogue in the show. So yeah, that scene was pretty interesting. Him threatening Father Doyle. DeCourcy acts very distant at Lulu's funeral. Basically, he's completely still, grief-stricken over his dad dying, and now he's at another funeral, so he's just really just kind of not processing it very well. Jackie tries to pin evidence on there's this bad priest he's trying to pin some type of crime on for stealing money. We know that he's basically trying to go after it to take down Doyle. And he goes to it with Milan, some information to try to take down Doyle, basically, which doesn't really work. When we see Doyle ends up speaking to Jenny about it, because the FBI agent confronts him. He tells Jenny. So basically, he's trying to find any way he can to take down Doyle, to show you how much vengeful Jackie really is. Saban tells Eloise the letter was a suicide note that she got from Lulu. It was basically about Lulu and Saban. They came driving drunk from a party when they were younger. They hit a guy with his dog and stuff like that. Saban was in the passenger seat, so Lulu was driving. This stopped them from being friends. The guilt most likely is what caused her to want to kill herself. And the man they hit was named Taylor Malcolm. He ended up being paralyzed from the neck down. So that's all insane. Man, that was crazy hearing about all of that. Wow. Then we have another scene where also Rick tries to provoke Chris again. He's really trying to provoke him after they got into a fight. Now he's looking for any reason to get him to provoke him. He provokes him when he's with his wife. He even tries to flirt with his wife and stuff like that. He's just really trying his best to provoke Chris into fighting him, and Chris is really trying his best to not really mess himself up even more, basically. Doyle, we end up finding that when Doyle and Jenny talk, we find out that he doesn't have HIV, and he tells Jenny also that basically, of course, Jackie threatened him and sent an FBI agent to visit him and stuff like that about him, quote unquote, taking money and stuff like that, just showing that basically Jackie's willing to do anything he can to stop Doyle, and it seemed like it's really doing nothing. My prediction is that it's really going to do nothing but drive Jenny into Doyle's arms, gonna make her want him more, because already at the end of this episode, we see that she's sleeping alone in her bed. Doyle says that you don't deserve a guy like, Jackie and stuff like that. And she probably starting to really suggest that maybe she should leave Jackie. So, I've always also found it weird that Jackie is, he hates that this guy is, flirting with talking to his wife and stuff like that, despite the fact that he's cheating himself. It reminds me so much of Tony Soprano and The Sopranos. He spent the whole series basically cheating on his wife, just so he can turn around and get mad at, the one priest guy that spent the night and stuff like that. It really reminds me of that. Anybody ever seen The Sopranos, you know what I'm talking about. And if you didn't, spoiler alert. I know it's late, but, Anyway, Sinclair brings this young woman over named Bet, and she wants to work for the Bureau when she graduates. She introduces her to Jackie, so she can know more about the Bureau, but Letia ends up pulling him away. She tells Jackie that basically the young woman is sort of like a side chick to Sinclair, and Jackie finds something strange about it. You can tell when he's upstairs. He's like, something seems weird about that, but he basically ignores it so he can ends up, you know, going into the room and hooking up with Latia. So Sinclair, he knows what's going on. He's starting gears are starting to turn. He's starting to understand something's weird about Sinclair, but he's going to ignore it for now because he's too busy focused on being blinded by Latia. Latia continues to flirt with Jackie, and finally they end up sleeping together. He suggested Sinclair most likely slept with Dominique. He tells her and stuff like that he thinks that something's going on there with Sinclair and Dominique. And she says she looks away basically because she grew up in a poor life, and Sinclair provides her with a good life, so she's willing to basically overlook the sick stuff that Sinclair is doing. And Latia ends up defending Sinclair and reminds Jackie that basically he doesn't work for the FBI no more, that he works for them. So that's pretty, wow, dark scene. Eloise tells Saban, I can't pronounce her name either, so I'm going to say Saban. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Eloise tells Saban to tell DeCourcy about the whole event that happened with Lulu, basically. To get it off her chest and clear her conscience. So maybe they can connect better because his father died. Rick tells, Rick still, like I said, he eggs Chris on again in this episode when he talks to his friends about basically the movie Informant and about how there was an informant that died and stuff like that, a cop or whatever. And Chris still walks away. He has an urge. He probably wants to really put hands on Rick again, but he decides to walk away this time again. And like I said, this episode also ends with Jenny. She's alone, sleeping, stuff like that, while basically Jackie was off with another woman. So that's going to do nothing but provide her to want to really leave him. And Chris chases down. I didn't even know this was Chris, but not Chris. Wait, no, Rick. Sorry, Rick chases down a drug dealer that basically I guess was working for him, and he ends up taking his money and stuff like that and making him run off. And then Chris ends up getting. Not Chris, I'm sorry. Rick ends up getting gunned down by an unknown assailant. We don't know who he is, but he gets gunned down again. We know it's definitely not Chris that did it, but he gets gunned down by somebody. We don't know, though. Jackie ends up spotting Beck coming out of Sinclair's room, and she's drunk, and she's not even standing straight and stuff like that. We can tell that Jackie is worried about that. He doesn't see what's going on, but he feels that something is weird about that. So he's definitely starting to really look at Sinclair like, I might have to take this guy down. So two cops end up coming to talk to Chris about Rick's death. So we're going to see what's going on there. We know that Chris clearly had nothing to do with that, but he's now going to be put on the radar, basically. We don't know who's going to defend him because he's known for taking down crooked cops, so he may not be able to have a whole lot of people to help him this time. DeCourcy, he's been drinking a little bit, mourning his father's death, and he ends up listening to music from his dad. And he ends up mourning and stuff like that. He hugs Saban, and they hug and listen to music, and that's how the episode ends. This episode is a really good one. Like I said, a whole lot of stuff went on in this episode. A lot of twists and turns, a lot of character development. I think that Chris is definitely going to need some help from DeCourcy and Jackie when it comes down to what situation he's in with Chris's shooting. And yeah, this episode was dope. I don't know if I can talk much because the video might cut off because my phone is completely cheap. But if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and comment your thoughts on what you think the next episode is going to happen. And like I said, share this video if you're a fan of City on a Hill. And thanks for watching my video.